is online and everyone else is in person. And we did start at 4:33. And sorry for being late. Nicole and I got talking and kind of went. All right, so we have our minutes from July 5th, 2022. Do we have discussion or a motion on the minutes?
Move to approve those minutes.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
They are approved. Our presentations next week, we'll have Corey Rushton come and present the proposed property tax increase for Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District. This is a state law that the legislature put in about 5 years ago, saying that if the district is going to raise their taxes, there has to be a public hearing in the municipality. So he will come do a little presentation. We'll have it open for public comment, and then we're done with that. So
We don't take the vote.
we don't take a vote, we just listen. And
Listen to the comments.
Yeah. Corey Rushton will be there, and then one member of the Jordan Valley staff will be there as well. If anybody has any other questions, they can usually take care of those. We have no regular meeting that day, so we don't have to study that agenda. And then we have the proclamation declaring August as Neighborhood Nights. Is there anyone that wants to read that, or should we just say it's a proclamation?
I'll read it.
Don will read that one. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll now start with our public hearing. We have application ZT3 2022. And Steve Lehman is going to take care of this one in person.
Thank you, Mayor. Steve Lehman with the Planning and Zoning Division. It's good to be here, good to be in person. It's been a bit since I've stood before the council. I'm filling in for Steve Pastrick, who's fortunate to be away from the office this week. So he's asked me if I would be willing to cover this. I'm glad to do so. So this application was initiated by the City Council to modify our street standards in the city to eliminate private rights of way from development options. It affects two sections of our code, Title 7, which is our land use code, which we use every day in planning and zoning. And then it also affects Title 9, which is our condominium ordinance, which we review for our PUDs and private communities. The ordinance is relatively straightforward, does three things. The first is it will remove private streets from the ordinance for consideration of future development. The second thing that it does is it allows for condominiums and townhomes that are attached one to another to back out onto a public right of way. Prior to this, we only allowed single family and duplexes to do that. And the third thing that this ordinance does is it will introduce two new street cross sections for consideration. We felt that by removing private rights of way for development options, that we would implement or put back in place options that would allow properties to continue to develop, but with a smaller cross section. We did meet on a number of occasions with Public Works and with the fire department to ensure that the proposed cross sections met with their standards and that their apparatus would be able to get in and navigate and maneuver appropriately. We do have a couple of slides. I guess I'll just stay here. We do have a couple of slides to show you. You've seen these before. Steve put together three different developments that we have in the city that would show the council what these developments would look like if we were to adopt this ordinance that is before you. The first project is the Villages at Westridge. This is on 5600 West and near 5400 South. The blue street in this development actually is a dedicated right-of-way. It is a 54-foot right-of-way, which is our standard residential street cross-section. The other two, the yellow, or the green, I should say, is one of our new proposed 44-foot rights-of-way, and we'll show you those illustrations in just a moment. That cross-section consists of 29 feet of asphalt, 5 feet for curb and gutter, and 5-foot park strip and 5-foot sidewalk. Initially, when we were discussing this ordinance with the council, Councilman Harmon raised concerns that our proposal of 26 feet of asphalt was a little bit too small. So we went to the 29-foot right-of-way width, which is standard in our 54-foot. So both of these, the green and the red, reflect the 29 feet of asphalt. The 34-foot right-of-way will be used to access townhome units from the backside, so the garage side. Most of the, if not all of the townhome projects that we've been reviewing lately are set up so that they're fronting one another. They have a common space between them. They have a network of sidewalks that connect one to another. We didn't feel that we needed sidewalk in every situation. So we selected two of these, one, the primary, which would be the green color, and the secondary, which would be the red color. We go to the next slide. So this is the Trong townhome development. This is on Redwood Road, about 3860 south. We included the gates at Kings Point, which is in the upper northeast corner of this area, because that would be the primary road to service the entire subdivision. That would be a 44-foot right-of-way. The red in the Trong townhome would be the 34-foot right-of-way. The reason here is that all of these units front one another, and there is a common thread between the units from west to east that would allow pedestrians to maneuver from the project into the new city park that we are just about ready to open right here. So this sidewalk extends all the way through the project. So we felt that those two options would provide good flexibility for future residential multifamily projects. And then the next slide is the Cobalt Landing. This is north on Redwood Road, just north of the old A.A. Callister's at about 3600 south. The green line here represents a larger right-of-way because it serves as the primary access into the development. And then the red, as you can see, once again, would be a smaller right-of-way without the need for a sidewalk. Very similar with this project, you have an internal pedestrian system that gets residents from place to place out to the larger right-of-way. We did have Public Works was kind enough to throw together a cross-section of the two rights of way, and I appreciate Ken bringing this up. So these include the 29 feet of asphalt that was recommended to us by the City Council. So the top illustration is the primary street configuration, which is 29 feet of asphalt, the curb and gutter, park strip, and then sidewalk. And then the secondary street below is the 29 feet of asphalt and the curb and gutter. So those are the three issues that this ordinance addresses: the removal of private streets from consideration, allowing townhomes and condominiums to back onto a public street, and also to introduce these two new cross sections. And that summarizes our report.
Okay, thank you. Were there any questions from the council?
So these two options would only work with attached housing.
Correct. Yes. One of the reasons we did not include detached housing is that detached housing, we feel, needs sidewalk on both sides. With the attached product that we've been seeing in almost 90 to 100% of our developments, we have that interconnectivity that gets people from one place to another. So we felt that with a single family detached, you're going to have two sides of a street, and one side would have those improvements, would have a park strip and sidewalk. The other side would be void of the sidewalk. And in our opinion, we should just stick with our 54-foot right of way, which is our standard cross section for residential streets.
So in the notes for the Planning Commission, one thing they were concerned about is how this would impact industrial subdivisions. Could you speak about that?
Sure. So the Planning Commission had three concerns, really was about flexibility. And one of those concerns was about commercial and industrial properties. For example, Godfrey Trucking, CR England Trucking, large corporations. We did a subdivision a number of years ago for CR England. They built a road that was a half mile long concrete. And it's a great road, well-maintained. They thought that having that option for those kinds of industries would be helpful or beneficial. So that was their concern there. They just felt that there should be more flexibility for those larger corporations.
So do they want to build narrower roads or?
No, I think it was really just, we haven't done a lot of large commercial projects where a developer will build their own roads. Sierra England is really one of the only ones. Godfrey Trucking at about 6100 West does have a roadway coming in off of the South Frontage Road that will access additional lots that we just platted a few months ago. I think their issue is building to the city standard. They may not want to build to a 66-foot right of way, which is our typical cross section in a manufacturing zone. They may want to build a bigger road. They may want to have a different cul-de-sac radius. So I think that was the issue behind the Planning Commission's thought.
Could we allow a bigger road than what we asked?
Well, with 66 feet, which is our standard right of way width, that carries with it 41 feet of asphalt. It's worked really well in the West Valley Truck Center subdivision for my entire career here. That was one of the first subdivisions that I was able to work on. I think that our cross section, and Dan could speak to that, I think it's plenty wide for what they need and for the maneuverability. I just think, and in some cases, maybe they want to go smaller. We haven't really vetted that out or discussed that with the commercial folks.
What were the other two concerns from the Planning Commission?
Yeah, the other concern is that they felt that one size doesn't fit all. In other words, they believe that we have unique properties, especially now that we're nearing the end of nice, large, vacant pieces of property. So for example, on 3500 South Redwood Road, the properties are relatively narrow or shallow. So they felt that excluding the private street option from those kinds of development might hinder that or exclude that kind of development option. As a reminder, you need 2 acres to develop attached housing. So 2 acres is a pretty good sized piece. So, residential or commercial landowners may need to evaluate that and drop their price a little bit, or the developer may need to come in with a little bit less density in order to get that to work. Third option is that perhaps they could assemble properties that might make their project work. So that was one. They just felt that the flexibility of properties was key. And then also they thought that we should provide for the flexibility in single-family detached housing. The reason that we did not, we've already explained, is we just felt that having our standard typical cross-section works for those projects.
So what is the situation on a detached single-family homes that are in a PUD?
Yeah, so right now, the PUDs that we have for single-family detached, we have a number of them. 2 that you probably hear most about is Greenbrier and Fox Shallow. Those were developed in the late 70s, just before we incorporated. We sort of finished them out after our incorporation. They were built to a terrible standard as far as asphalt width, lack of sidewalks, those kinds of things. The PUDs that we've done that have attached or detached housing, for example, Sunset Hills Phase 1 would be one that I would mention. It has a sidewalk on the interior side. The right-of-way is 26 feet of asphalt and curb and gutter sidewalk on one side. So it is a wider right-of-way. We only have, to my knowledge, one that I can think of subdivision in the city that is a dedicated street. It's the cottages at Westbrook. It's the old Paul's Par 3 golf course way back in the day. Played it when I was about that tall. We did develop that as a senior community. We had a petition to zone that property RM, and I think the council at the time felt that that wasn't appropriate given the proximity to the existing residential. So the city zoned that property to accommodate the single family detached, and we used a 44-foot cross section there, which back in the day we allowed because we didn't have park strips. So you had 29 feet of asphalt, curb gutter and an integral sidewalk system, 4 feet on each side. We wouldn't do that today, but that's one of the subdivisions I can think of where we did a detached with a public right of way.
So do we allow detached PUDs with private streets right now?
We do right now, yes.
So
This
This
would,
ordinance would change that.
this would change it, so those cannot have any private streets as well.
correct.
Okay, just making sure. Okay. I don't see Jake's hand up. Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're gonna stay up there anyway. So now we'll go to application SV 2/2022. Thank you, Mr. Lehman. You're a
Thank
one-man
you.
show today.
For just these three. So this application is a request from Northrop Grumman and also Hexcel regarding a street vacation on property located in the Hexcel and Northrop Grumman area of the city. This is a little bit of a unique situation. In 1932, Arnold and Areva Peterson dedicated right-of-way to Salt Lake County. The right-of-way was for the purpose of building a highway, perpetual easement and highway. Interesting to note how close Mountain View is to the east here. We're not sure how this has been missed over the years, given the buildings that have been constructed at Hexcel. But Northrop and Hexcel are working on some land issues there. They're cleaning up title. This was investigated and caught. And so they would rather just vacate this area that's marked in red from record. And so the proposed vacation. We do have some illustrations if Ken wants to run through those quickly. This is looking from the southwest, looking to the northeast. This is the end of the tail end of the Hexcel buildings, the next slide. And then the next slide really is where we figure the road would be constructed due straight north and then turns east. So this application simply vacates that old right of way.
Okay, any questions from the council? Okay, thank you. Now we'll go to application SA 2/2022.
Thank you, Mayor. This application was just before the council at the end of last year. Back Development purchased the old Granger Medical building. And as you recall, we condominiumized that for medical and office use. We just took two other photos. We can just quickly zoom through. This is just looking from 4100 South, and the next one is looking on the west side of the building. The subdivision plat, we could go to the next slide and then probably the next one, Ken. When they recorded the subdivision plat, they had an extreme amount of interest in this building from a number of medical providers. And so they, in discussing that with potential clients, they have a relatively large medical provider that would like to modify the interior portion of the building. The extension of that is rather small, very small section here. The biggest area is on the right side. The 3 units here, there used to be 4, and they simply wanted a larger suite. So they've dropped one of the units. Part of the process to amend a condominium plat is to go through this process. So that is this report.
Okay, any questions from the council? Jake's not got his hand raised. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll now go to resolution 22-122. I'll turn the time over to Dan Johnson.
Good afternoon, Dan Johnson, Public Works. I bring before you this resolution authorizing the execution of 2 betterment agreements associated with Mountain View Corridor construction. And there's actually 3 agreements that are kind of connected, and you'll see the next one next week, and I'll give you a little bit of a preview of that today. But these 2 agreements that are part of this, that are on this resolution, are betterment agreements, city requested betterments that we asked of UDOT to build certain things, mostly aesthetic improvements for us, including several, lighting and landscaping. It was on the roadway. You'll notice the street trees and street lights on 3500 South and 5600 West, and certain landscaping and parking lots. It's all included in this betterment agreement. A few other miscellaneous items, furnishings on the trails and then some miscellaneous roadway improvements. One thing of note is that UDOT included in their budget a $900,000 aesthetics budget, which essentially is a $900,000 credit that the city was able to use towards these betterments. And so that's also recognized in this agreement. And I just think it's worth noting to the council that that this credit was offered from UDOT and certainly is helpful. Another major betterment that's included in this was the construction of we're calling it a shared storm drain trunk line, which is a big storm drain that connects from 3500 south and runs in UDOT right of way now, clear to the Meadowlands detention basin, which really, it's roughly $400,000 city share to build that piece of infrastructure, but certainly saved the city a lot of money by working together with UDOT to use the same pipe. And that'll be a pipe that takes city water, but the state will maintain that pipe in their right of way. So that was definitely a good betterment. We had them do some improvements to 2400 South associated with our new road, the South Frontage Road and Beagley Road extension that's being constructed right now. And so all in all, if you add up all these betterments, there's roughly $1.38 million worth of betterments that the city that we have to pay to UDOT. And that's what, if there are any questions on the betterment agreements, I'll take them before I give you a preview of the cooperative agreement that's coming next week.
Okay, any questions? No, okay.
Okay, so next week you'll see a cooperative agreement number 2 to be executed that's related to the Mountain View Corridor. In 2018, the city executed cooperative agreement number 1, which kind of established generic parameters for the highway where the intersections would be, established trail maintenance responsibilities. And this is more of a final cleanup to where we will all agree to convey certain rights of way. That we'll give some to them, then they'll give some to us. The biggest piece of this will be the conveyance of the pond property that is just south of Parkway Boulevard, just west of Mountain View Corridor, a large parcel that will be conveyed to the city, roughly 14 acres that's used for drainage, but we'll be able to have a recreational use on that property as well. We just need to preserve the drainage capacity on the property. And so that will be a good thing. So you'll have a week to think about what questions you're going to have on that. And I will either answer them now or in a week from now.
Okay, any questions on this one? Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Our consent agenda is a resolution 22-123. It's a warranty deed. Does anybody have questions on that, or are we good to just let it go? Okay, that looks like just a normal one. So we'll move on to our communication, and we have Nancy Day here in person to give us an update on how Westfest went. Which from the outside looking in, it went splendidly.
Yes.
It looked like it was really busy. There was a little bit of wind, might have been a problem, but
Yes, that was really the only problem that we saw was the wind. Luckily, it died down in time for the fireworks shows. So, yeah, it was a great event this year. It actually increased by about 4%, and the committee looks at that they compare it to the increase that the carnival saw. So it could actually be a little bit better, a little bit worse if you have some people just going to the carnival. But most of the time, if they're going to the carnival, they also come over and get some food and look at the booths as well. So they felt like that, showed what the increase was. And I wanted to put this picture front and center because I appreciate all of you participating, our mayor on the float and everybody else, and the Broncos that we got from Ken Garf. So really appreciate your help with that. So we feel like, we surpassed the numbers from last year, which was actually kind of a record year, and so it's great to see the community come out and like I said, yeah, we talked about the wind a little bit. That's on my notes to bring up a little bit here. Most people actually thought Thursday is typically our slowest night, and most people actually thought that we had more people. I was out there Thursday night, and I also felt like it was a little bit busier than normal. It was hot though, right? It was always hot. Okay, so let's jump in and talk a little bit about this, these things. So marketing, you may recall the last, well, it was actually, I know last year we didn't use this, and we might not have in 2019, but we didn't do the TV ads. Do you remember we used to have Fox 13 do a lot of ads? You don't recall that? Okay. It was very pricey. They charged a lot to do that. And we felt like we could reach out to the community without that bill on there, and it's shown successful. So again, this year we did not do that. A lot of social media information on the website. And quite honestly, I think the best form of marketing is when the carnival starts setting up and everybody drives by and sees that, and they know it's time for West Fest. We did have 2 fireworks shows this year, Friday and Saturday, which was great. We've wanted to do that for many years, and it's just been a cost thing. We were able to do that because the University of Utah Health covered the entire cost of the Friday night show. And so that made it really, really nice. And so we're hoping to have that collaboration again next year. Carnival gross sales, as I mentioned, increased 4%, and that's with lower attendance on Sunday. Usually they have a lot more attendance, but they felt like it was from the wind and all of that it just kind of decreased their attendance that Sunday. Because we've always had it, well, not always, but a lot of years it falls on Father's Day. So that doesn't seem to hinder it quite as much, but that's what they felt. So we've got a couple of things here I want to talk about: our city support and our entertainment. So of course, besides all of you with your support, our police and our fire department offer a lot of support, parks and recreation in a variety of areas. Public relations and every other department really helps out in a variety of capacities. And so we're grateful for that. As far as the entertainment goes, we had better attendance at each of the 2 stages this year than what we've had in the past of people watching, which is good. You know, it fluctuates a little bit, but that was really good. You can see the band there. That's the Imagine, the Beatles tribute band. That was kind of a headliner. They did a good job, but we had a variety of bands. We had different rock. We had indie rock. We had classic rock. We had folk, country, Latin. So we had a real variety and the different cultures represented there, as well as with the dance groups. So we had hip hop, we had Latin, we had belly dancing, ballroom dancing. So we really had a variety of entertainment this year. And then of course our Scales and Tales, they did a couple shows on the stage, and then they also, as they always do, come down off the stage so the kids and people could kind of handle the safer reptiles and things. And then our magician as well. So we'll talk a little bit about the parade. We did have, unfortunately, some entries fall through, which was kind of a bummer. I was really looking forward to the Basset Hound Rescue Group. I thought that was going to be a lot of fun. So we'll work on them again next year and some others. So this is the first year we were able to come back since 2019. So hopefully we'll, be able to see more growth. People are happy that it's back. We're getting positive feedback from that. And again, we had a lot of different entries from each of you, the city departments, high schools, local businesses, youth dance groups, other communities that we saw come out as well and participate in our parade, sports teams, just a lot of fun. One of the things that's listed down there is working on a little bit more of the outreach and the communication. Our public relations did a great job for the parade by having some live coverage and doing some Facebook Live. We had some press show up for that. We actually had one of the stations show up Saturday night to talk about it, and it was over. So we'll make sure the communication is as well there, but it's nice that they're coming out and they're interested in that. So with the vendors, we saw some increases there quite a bit. So our craft and business vendors, we had 62 vendors that took 80 booths. And just in comparison, the year before, we had 39 booths. And so we saw increases there. Some of the informal, one of the things they did this year, and we're not sold on it, doing it again, but they tried having in the trees, you may have noticed some tents that didn't look the same, some pop-ups and a couple home crafters out there. They tried to do that to lower the cost a little bit, but because of where they were at, I don't know that the flow worked. Did you guys feel the same thing? Yeah, that's kind of what we felt in the committee. So it might be a matter of redesigning the layout or just not offering that again. And there really weren't that many that participated in that aspect of it.
So Nancy?
Yes.
I was just gonna say, I got a couple complaints with how the food trucks and different vendors were set up. They
Yes.
kind of changed that and they felt like they were on a desert island.
Yeah.
I was really walking past them, but I had great comments on your tables being under the trees. the
That was-
tables
that was
instead of Under
great.
a big tarp, so.
It actually cooled it. And now that the trees have grown so much, that shade, oh, that's amazing. And so great. I got some of those same comments. And on the food, I would agree. I didn't think the setup was ideal for that. That needs to be changed. The flow wasn't very good either. And actually, if you look down there, one of the first bullet points is that it was overbooked. They booked too
Oh.
many. They had 26. Last year, they had 9. So that was great. The problem is typically in the past, we've tried to have unique food vendors. So you don't have 3 of the same
Oh.
thing competing, right, with each other, because the food vendors don't like that either. The hard part is some of the more popular ones, the lines get too long. So it was a new committee member this year. And so they'll be, they're learning from that and they'll make adjustments next year for sure on that.
Well, I had one comment that from somebody that's been with that committee for a really long time. We've always had tough time finding vendors,
Yes.
and now this new guy found too many.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get him to come, and now this guy got too many to come.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny.
It is.
New blood
It is funny.
sometimes just brings more people.
It
so.
does. And it was good on an evaluation perspective to see which vendors we could work with easier and that worked with the public better.
Okay.
And so it's good, some really good evaluations and side notes. And we always do post survey of all of the participants in the vendor area. And that was one of the things they pointed out, but all of them thought it was a really good event and they're all planning on coming back next year, or at least applying to come back next year. And so we'll evaluate that. So yeah, so that's really, really good for us to look at, and we enjoyed that. Lots of events. So I put some of these down. I'm just going to hit some kind of key points on some of them. So we had the 5K and 10K back since 2019. So that was really good to have that back. Didn't have as many as some years in runners. We had over 100 runners in that, which we felt really good for our first year back to do that. And of course, staff was great. I mean, everybody from lifeguards to kids camp counselors to full-timers trying to run it. We did work with and borrow a new chip timing system that South Davis uses. And they came out and did some training for our staff, and were there the morning of the race as well. Actually cut down on the number of staff we needed. So it's something that Parks and Rec is considering for that we can also use for some of our other events as well. But it was great. And everybody was happy that it was back. The parade I've already talked about, so I won't run into that anymore. Movie in the park, we showed Encanto, right? Is that how you say it? Yes, Encanto, I believe is how it's pronounced. It was great. Everybody loved that as well. Dutch oven cook-off was fun. So we had 15 teams that competed and they did a great job. And then we also had a youth cook-off. And I don't know how many of you come over and enjoy that, but you could be judges if you want to taste some of the food. I did it one year and it's pretty fun. It's pretty good too. And judge on that. But the youth cook-off is for under 12. So we had a few teams participate in that, and we had kids as young as age 3 and age 5 do it. Yeah. I mean, maybe you don't have to judge theirs. I don't know. But no, it was great. And it was a lot of fun. Pickleball tournament. This was the first year that we had a pickleball tournament. Now, we couldn't run a softball tournament like we've done in the past because of doing the fireworks both nights. because we have to shut down the field so they can prepare the day before for the fireworks show and keep it locked up. But that was okay. So we did the pickleball tournament. We had 151 pickleball players, which was great. It was really, we got a lot of help from the Polynesian Pickleball Club. So they helped us out quite a bit with that, but it spanned over 3 days. We had singles, doubles, all groups, all different ages. We had kids, we had seniors, and everything in between. One of the days it was so windy, we had to move it inside the fitness center, but that was easy enough to do. So everybody had a really good time with that. So that was a lot of fun. The chicken nugget eating contest, sponsored by Chick-fil-A, was a hit. The skateboard competition, so the West Fest Throwdown. So we've done it for 3 years now, or it's our third time, I should say. And we had 30 competitors and over 100 spectators. They had a great time. We moved it to Friday evening from Saturday afternoon just to help with the heat and also with the staffing, because our Parks and Rec staff are there bright and early for the races Saturday morning. So doing it Friday was a little bit easier for them as well. And that seemed to be a good move on that. So the person that really MCs it, gets the sponsors, gets the prizes, is Spot, who does our skate camp, who has done that since we opened our skate park. And he's amazing. He does some really amazing things. We had DJs, free drinks, girls only division. And one of the things that Spot also does, so Mayor, if you're interested in that, he does a free women's skateboard lessons in the park. So if you want to do it, I'll let you know when he does that. But he just does it, you know, and he's really enhanced the girls program and everything else. And one of his crew members is Travis, and he's a local, and you've heard about him before. He cleans up the skate park, and we've talked with him for years. We actually offered him a caretaker position out there to help take work so we could pay him. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want accolades. But he's certainly deserving of that. And so, you know, staff really enjoy working with him. So that went really well. Canine demonstration, always a great crowd for that. The fire department was unable to do their rappelling due to the winds, so we couldn't have that this year. And then, the Krispy Kreme. So that was a fun donut eating contest. And I have to give congratulations to one of our own, West Valley City Police Officer Prutina, ate 12 donuts in 5 minutes, 12 donuts in 5 minutes to win. So congratulations to our officer for that. I don't know which ones they brought, but yeah. So just the final slide here. One of the things that we always do, it's ongoing, is seeking additional committee members. It's great because they have 15 right now. They got 5 new ones this year. They'd like to add 2 more next year with more specific skill sets, like for the website or for sponsorship and marketing. So they're trying to find somebody with that. Something else that we've talked about for many years is to have some backup committee members. So if the person, for example, that's over the vendors can't make it for whatever reason, there's somebody else that's kind of trained with them and they're there to help out as well. So there's some things that they work on, but they had a lot of volunteers to help out with that. Increase advertising, even though we had a great crowd, it's still good to try to make sure everybody knows what's going on. So that's one of the things the committee wants to work on. And just improvement of communications all around, to city, to vendors, with the public. That kind of ties in with that same thing. And I think they're doing a really good job with that, but there's always room for improvement in everything we do. Seeking additional sponsorships to offset the cost and to do more, for example, like having the Friday fireworks. You know, it was great to have that sponsorship to do that. Follow up with the emergency action plan. And then, Mayor, as we talked about, evaluate the layout, you know, of the whole thing. And that includes looking at the carnival entrances and all of that. So that's something we always try to get right and to get better. And where's the sun? Where's it going to be the hottest? And so, because a lot of the vendors too, it's hard for them if their booth is facing the sun very much. They don't get a lot of shade. They just get really hot. I think really the only complaint we got this year, which is out of our control from some of the vendors as far as that goes, is the wind. Some of them couldn't keep their products and things up the whole time because the wind was knocking it down, but a little out of our control on that. So that's my summary and presentation. Are there any questions I can answer?
Nice work.
Thank you. They did a great job.
Okay, thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Oh, I was gonna tell you, the farmer's market being in the trees,
Yes.
brilliant. Whoever's idea that was,
Staff.
Yeah.
That's great.
yeah, because that natural, it is, the natural shade is cooler than covered shade.
It is, absolutely. And we're supposed to have more, just so that, you know, more of the produce vendors coming. It's just, we're kind of
Yeah,
at
there's
that
not
point
time
of the
yet.
season. Exactly. So,
Yeah. Anybody that grows a garden knows there's nothing yet,
yeah.
or not much yet.
Not much.
And I did find out tag stuff is local. It is stuff they're growing themselves. They didn't have to bring it in.
Oh, good.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
great. That's, yeah.
That was good to
They
know.
always have a line out there.
They do. Okay, our council calendar. Did anybody have any concerns or questions on the calendar?
Is it true that we don't have city council meeting in 2 weeks because of National Night Out?
We don't have it on the 30th because it's the, or whatever day, on a day because it's the 5th, right? Or is
There's,
that not?
there's no 5th, but on August,
There's something weird.
August 2nd,
Yeah, that's
yep,
what it
we'll
is.
have our neighborhood night out event. And I know that Craig's working on getting that list together, so.
Yeah, that's right. It's August that has the 5th,
Will that be
not
a
July.
general event, or will it be the different?
Different neighborhoods like it's been in years past and times and locations.
Somewhere we held a general kickoff.
Yeah, well, I think that now he's doing a collective send off. I mean, at the end, he does the celebration instead of the first now. He started that last year or the year before,
So
something like that.
I know he's just getting all the applications in and I asked him about it last week.
Okay.
Just a question for Nancy as we go through this. How have the movies in the park been other than during the West Fest?
They haven't had the crowds we were hoping to have, and some of it might be from the heat. You know, we've been anywhere from, I don't know, like 130 to close to 200 maybe. We'd like to increase that and see more of that. So that's something that's on our radar.
Okay.
Yeah.
No other questions? Do we have any potential future agenda items? Yes.
One of the things that's been brought up in our regular meetings by residents is the parking fees. You know how we have the same parking ticket
Oh, yeah.
no matter how many times they've made that infraction. I think it'd be worth it for us to discuss a graduated scale for repeat offenders, especially for parking commercial vehicles, because that parking ticket seems like it's less than what they would pay to store the vehicle somewhere else.
Okay. Is everybody comfortable with that? We can ask Mr. Pyle to put someone on that.
I'm okay with that.
All right, it looks like you've got 4 of them, sir. Did you get that?
Okay.
I think you have the full majority, because even Jake put a thumbs up. So, okay, we're good. All right. Yeah, I had more complaints this last week about commercial trucks in neighborhoods and parking right on corners, and it's just, so parking is getting those notices, and hopefully they're going out and dealing with it, but thank you for bringing that up. Okay, was there any others?
We mentioned getting surprised many times by events that are happening.
Uh-huh.
And last Wednesday, I got a whole slew of events on my calendar that apparently are city sponsored, but we hadn't heard about them until we got them on the calendar.
Correct.
And I'm looking here and I can't even find them on the calendar here, so.
Well, some of them, like the My Hometown, aren't
no,
official city
these-
ones,
these
and
aren't my hometown. These are the ones that
If they were sent on
family night
Thursday,
out
they
or
were added
something like
after.
that.
Oh, okay. It was after the calendar came out is what Nicole is saying. So they'll be on your next calendar.
No, I've got them on the calendar.
No, Nicole will have them on this calendar, on this one.
Okay.
So I
She-
published on Wednesday, and if anything's added after that,
I'm
So she
just
put a
kind of
whole bunch.
wondering, what are we supposed to do with them? What is this?
Go to the ones you want to and don't go to the ones you don't need to.
Family Week kickoff celebration?
Maybe they'll email us.
Who's doing it?
I don't know. Do you know who?
Nancy knows.
Oh, Nancy knows. Okay, Nancy.
Yes.
Yeah, and Mayor, I'll speak to that one, and Nancy can add that if she has anything extra. So one of the interns placemaking projects this year that they wanted to try was a family week series of events that would be coordinated with Nancy's weekly event. So that's just a new thing that we're trying out this year. We'll see how it goes, see if it works or not. As far as council involvement or not, like you said, Mayor, there's no requirement or need. But if you want to go, certainly that's why it is on the calendar, and we'd appreciate your attendance, just like any other event that would be of that sort.
We've kind of talked before about, like they had a thing that was sponsored by the Healthy West Valley, and that over at the Promenade last week during council meeting. And coordinating those, and then the next day we get all these events that we hadn't heard from or about before that.
Sorry, I asked them to add all of those on there.
And
After, because I found out about the recital, My Hometown recital from an outside source. And so I went to it and it was so good. And when I told other members about it, they're like, well, we didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked staff to just put everything we could think of on here.
Yeah.
So that you don't miss out on any great opportunities.
we'd kind of like to know what they are too, before we just get a calendar invitation.
Okay,
Maybe more detail in the calendar invitation.
That'd help too. I mean,
you just want more detail about what it is.
yeah,
okay.
what's the kickoff event?
Okay,
Uh,
yeah. Okay, Nicole says she can take care of that. She's got it.
We mentioned two names on it, and I'm wondering if they're the neighbors I used to have, or if they're not. You know? Dr. John Tanner or some other John Tanner.
Can't help you there. I don't know. So yeah, we can ask for more detail.
Yeah, because just kind of pops up and what's this?
Well, and there was one, a skate event a week or two ago that didn't have a start time. It was just an all-day event on my calendar.
Yeah,
So then when I called, they told me, it started at 5 or at 7, I don't remember. But yeah, we do need the time and the place for the events as well. Okay,
Just along with that, I saw on social media, there's a Cops and Cleats
yes.
event going on
Thursday night, I think.
Thursday
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah, I think that's a training. It's at Hunter High School. And I thought it was like a football game, but to me, the more I read the invitation, it's more of a youth training event. And I don't know if it's to get the cops playing with the kids to make them familiar and not afraid. Do you have more information, Mr. Pyle, or?
No, ma'am, but I'm sure the chief does. She can speak to that.
Oh, there she is. Okay.
So this is an event that was put together rather quickly. One of my lieutenants had a fabulous idea to have this community and youth engagement project. And we were going to do it like September or August, September, but then he found out rather quickly that high schools pick up and like fields are off limits and we got to do this in 2 weeks. So we've been scrambling, trying to like get this put together, and we're really excited for it. It's from 8 a.m. to 12 noon on Thursday at Hunter High. And right now, I think we've got about 115 kids signed up for it and about
Awesome.
30 of our officers. We've got some former NFL players or NFL college players coming in to like run them through some drills and just, it's a free event to just get the kids out and get them active and also have the law enforcement engagement. So we're pretty excited about it. It was thrown together rather quickly, and we're still kind of scrambling to like make sure we've got enough water and Gatorade and all that. But We'll be ready to go 8 o'clock Thursday morning, Hunter High.
But it's not just football drills, it's general,
This is more focused towards football.
okay.
But depending on its success, we'll probably like have the opportunity to bloom it out to soccer or rugby or whatever other
Baseball.
event, baseball, whatever other events we're able to like engage with. This kind of was prompted out of the Operation Recess that COP officers have been doing. They go to the elementary schools during recess and play with the kids. And so there's that engagement with officers and youth at that level. And just giving it a try. So,
So this Thursday?
Yeah, this Thursday, the
yeah,
21st.
tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on the calendar? Or are you early for the future agenda items?
I thought we were on.
That's what
Wait,
we
wait,
were on.
is that what we're
That's what
on?
we were on.
Okay, it seemed like a calendar thing, so I was thinking. we
Another
gotta go
resident
backwards.
brought up fireworks and if it's on a weeknight, should we lower the cutoff time?
Right,
So I'm really not interested in changing that, but I just wanted to bring it up so that if there is some discussion, we could.
I don't know how we would,
I think our policy kind of follows the state policy.
Yeah.
doesn't it?
yeah, right now we are. And we don't even have the personnel I don't think we would have the police to end it earlier if we wanted to. I mean, I think the
Well,
ones that go past midnight.
They already
yes.
go past our deadline, right?
Yeah. So I think if there's big ones, we can definitely address, but most people are courteous enough to stop between 11 and 12.
And it's really only 2 nights a year
If you don't count New Year's.
and New Year's.
and New Year's.
And
Yeah, but New
Chinese
Year's
New
is
Year's
never-
and, yeah,
New Year's is never the night before you
You-
have to work,
work,
right?
yeah,
I
you
mean,
have, most people,
Most
work anyway.
not everybody has to work that day. But yeah, after thinking about it with the state putting out the times, I don't know that we could do much.
I just
with
put the earplugs in when I'm ready to go to bed. So.
What's the state regulation by the way?
I think the hours are the same ones we have. I think we just adopted the state.
Yeah. Wayne, do you remember what the cutoff is for fireworks? Is it 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night?
I believe it's 11, but John probably knows better than I do.
John,
It's online. John's not, oh, is John online?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm here. This is a state rule. There's really not much we can do. They've looked at it. The only time it's midnight is on the 4th or 24th, and it's 11 o'clock on the days before and the days after.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Okay, any other future agenda items?
I sent out
Mr.
the,
Hammond.
yeah, thank you. I sent out the updated KPIs. And I don't know if we want to study those again, or if we're ready to want to talk about them some more, or if we're all good with what's there.
Maybe if we don't have a heavy study session next week, we could put them on. Do you want to just see? Because we could have them as a communication item. Okay,
I sent out a message about adopting a highway.
oh, that's
council.
right.
So UDOT no longer offers that. So I jumped the gun a little bit, but they do allow, if you want to organize a cleanup of a certain section of highway, they'll coordinate that with you. So I don't know. That would be of interest.
we could do an unofficial adoption.
Yeah. That's
More
true.
foster care.
Clean up garbage.
Let's
we can
wait
pull
till
weeds. There's lots of
Off a
things.
little.
Yeah.
Yeah. September, have a
September,
project?
first of October.
Yeah, we could see that.
We'll invite all in attendance to join us.
Alright,
About
oh.
the cougar, is it still here or is it gone or?
What's that?
The cougar, I mean, in West Valley City, is still there or? Oh,
Our friendly cougar.
Oh, the cougar, yes.
One in Murray. I read that. but-
Yeah, and they think it's the baby, so now they're looking for mom. So, but I guess ours has killed some sheep, so it will not be relocated, according to the news. I don't know if that's fact or not. Is there anybody? Yep, fact.
Just
So-
gotta find it first.
Yeah, do we know where it is?
It highly mobile. I mean, as
That's
you
what
might
I've heard.
imagine, they're highly mobile. They're not even sure if the two are connected. They don't.
The
think-
Murray one?
Yeah, they don't think they are. The Murray one seems to be a mother and two kids.
Yeah.
The one here seems to be a full-grown adult male. So they don't think they're connected, but
Okay.
they're on the lookout. Colleen probably addressed it. I know the police have gotten some sightings.
We had a last sighting Friday by a citizen reported to dispatch, but officers were not able to locate it.
Well, most people are just getting it on their Ring doorbell, aren't they? I mean, are people really seeing it or just seeing it on their recordings?
They either see it on their Ring or on their exterior
Yeah,
surveillance.
surveillance.
It was Saturday night and it was in the area of Early Duke.
Oh, okay. So I've had
One,
people,
2 weeks ago was over by Vespa, so like it's moving.
yeah, and somebody said it was over up by Monroe one day, so it's really moving if it's early Duke to Monroe and then that way, so. Okay. And then the notice, we did a good job on Facebook. So whoever did that, thank you to get that out. Okay, so people have been talking about getting people to know what restaurants we have in the city. So just one of my, 2 AM, can't go back to sleep things.
Most of them aren't open at that time.
I know. Well, what I was thinking is, and this isn't just a beginning thought, and everybody can do whatever they want with it, but having some kind of a list of what restaurants we actually have in the city. And then maybe having a game, like when the state had you go to every county and get your passport stamped.
Bingo.
Yeah, or a bingo, and you bring back a blackout card. Something that they get some kind of a municipal little prize for going to 25 different restaurants in 3 months or something. I could do 25 in a month,
Yeah.
but I'm not the normal. So we'd give them 3 months or 6 months or whatever. I mean, we did the county thing, we did the passport and we stayed in a lot of hotels and we blew a lot of gas. We had a lot of fun and saw things we would never have seen. And all you got was a VHS of highlights in Utah. So we did it for pretty much nothing, but it was just a fun adventure. So I don't know if you even need a prize or if it's just a fun adventure and encourage people to go to different restaurants.
Does it still make VHSs?
No, but if you need one to record over, I've got plenty. They're the next dejunking thing to go. But I literally have one in the safe because that's what we got. It was just, so anything like that, a passport or a bingo. I said bingo at first and then Brian complicated with 1 line, 2 lines, blackout. What do you want to do? Like, okay, maybe a passport would work better or something.
Something, I mean, even Disneyland does that if they're trying to advertise some of their eating establishments in the park. Is, get a tear off
For different things.
different things.
Yeah, so just food for thought.
I think a good idea. I think it's encourage people in our city try to go out and find, restaurant here and there, and I think it's great. Yeah.
We
Kind of encourage them, maybe.
we've got a lot of restaurants in the city,
Mhm.
but many of them are smaller, mom and pop, and
Right.
I had a friend call me the other day and say, let's go out to dinner. Where would you like to go? And the only thing I could think of was a couple of the big chains,
So
Yeah.
one of our mom and pops is closing on Friday.
Hmm.
I don't really want y'all to go because the line was kind of long today, but I'm gonna go at least one more time, if not 2. But Grinders is going away on Friday. Friday's their last day. And there were people in line that had no idea. And then there were people in line that were only there because they knew, but. So we are losing them.
Yeah.
Some of the ones that nobody wants to carry on. But it will be for sale if anybody wants a restaurant. And I will guarantee I will come at least once a month, if not once a week. And with that, that should keep you in business forever, right? Okay, anything else on potential future agenda items? Okay,
If our restaurant, you wanna bring it up again, or you wanna?
I'll let y'all think on it, and then if you think of a better way or a solid way, or if staff thinks of a perfected way to do it, awesome.
I mean, I think there are some established models. I know this year we didn't, or last year we didn't participate, but my wife and I usually do the Salt Lake, the downtown Dine Around. And then even Park City, they usually have their Dine About or I think it's Dine About. But yeah, a couple of cities around that do that similar type of thing. Salt Lake's Dine Around doesn't have necessarily a checkoff list or a passport, but the participating restaurants have a different menu that gives like a $10 or $20 discount if you come in and mention, that you're there for the Dine Around. And Park Cities is similar as well. But yeah, maybe looking into those models that are already successful and have been running for a long time.
Good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And people know them. I don't know them because I've never done them, but if you've done them, that's a good insight to have. Okay,
So maybe to bring back, maybe next week and to try to get something and we can look at it, compare, and we can apply for our city.
yeah, I'll get on and look at both of those. I haven't actually ever looked at either one of those events. So, okay. Council reports. Yes.
The Healthy West Valley Coalition got a grant to develop some ideas and resolutions about remembering health in all of our policies that we go through in the city. We had our first planning meeting today. And, I got to thinking, what policies do we pass? Zone changes and everything else. And as we talked, those have a health aspect to them too, because of the safe walking areas and things like that. So we basically came to the conclusion that we need to be aware of how each policy we pass or that is presented to us would relate to the health and well-being of the residents. And we're working now to kind of formulate that out. One of the things that we came to a conclusion on is when we do policies, we don't stay in the silos we have in the city. It's not just a Parks and Rec policy or a Public Works policy. It's an overall policy for the whole city, and so we can put that health aspect into it. Or at
Okay.
least, if it's not part of the policy, at least have it as part of the thought of what we're doing with that policy.
Okay. So how much was the grant?
I don't know, they said it covers 2 or 3 years too. so
Oh, good.
we might not have it at the end of this year, but we'll have it eventually.
Eventually next year.
I didn't hear the exact amount, so.
Okay, that's great. Okay, anybody else with the council report? Okay. We do have a need for a closed session for pending litigation. If someone would like to make,
Yes, for the quarterly update, ma'am, not any new or specific issue.
thank you. So anybody would like to make that motion?
Motion to end the study meeting and to enter closed session.
Reason of pending litigation.
Pending litigation and nothing else, and we will end. Probably after.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We will let those go and have Mr. Pyle leave in here who he wants. And